Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome to Retreat into Thriving. I am super excited to be sharing this information, and we promise that this will be very content rich. We want you to walk away really knowing not only the benefits of retreating, but then also having like very practical tools on how you can retreat on a day-to-day basis. And our biggest thing that Karen and I want to talk about, and I'll introduce you to her in just one second, is that retreat is not just something that you necessarily like go away and move away from everything in your life, but that it is something, this is a practice that you can bring into every day. And we will show you how you can do this and be more creative and more productive in your business, in your life, whatever it is that you engage with in this world. We promise that if you do these practices, you will have more creativity and you will be more productive and more fulfilled, essentially. So very quickly, I wanted to just tell you that to me, retreating is such an important, beautiful topic. I think that one of my first, like, really big awakenings happened when I was in a 5-day silent retreat, and ever since then, I I swear by retreating. I have led retreats. I basically, like, my sessions with people is like a retreating into themselves. And I'm super excited to have Karen join us because I love her energy. I know you'll love her energy. And she has really made this concept of retreat into her everyday practice and something that she has been able to also share with people, her clients, and then now she's actually teaching people how to help others lead other people into the space. So Karen, are you there?
Yes, hi. Delighted to be here. Thank you.
I am
I love just connecting with you. Your energy, it just makes me smile inside. It's just great. Thank you for having me.
absolutely. I'm delighted to have you. And you know, Karen and I were talking right before we started on this how incredible the energy is around collaboration, and I invite you as you're listening to this conversation and as you kind of take notes on the things that we share and really take in how each of us have a little bit different flavor and perspective to this topic, and how nice it is to be engaging in conversations where women can collaborate and share with one another from the space of authenticity and the space of like being real and supporting one another. This is something that I know that we're struggling as women on how to find, how to really find this balance in our society, right? In our work environment, in our communities. And I just invite you to kind of tune into that as we're exploring this concept of retreat. So,
Definitely.
Karen, I wanted to see if you would tell very quickly, people watching, why retreat has been
Mm.
important to you. Why do you do this? Why are you so committed to this topic?
All right. Well, it's kind of interesting because there's a variety of reasons, and I started like you, tasting it on land. And for my 35th birthday, I went out to the desert, Joshua Tree and the whole Palm Desert area in Coachella Valley. And I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go with a group, and we would hike for hours in the desert. And the silence and the beauty of it, and how you would see flowers that hadn't, flourished for years. But you'd only know that if you got away literally to go and take time and breathe. So that's how I started with retreats. Fast forward, then that was 35. So fast forward, what, 8, 10 years. I'm a mom. I have a daughter. I'm a single mom by then, and her dad was very involved, but here I was single. She's playing sports, and I still want to support her. I loved being a mom and supporting her. But if you've got a child and some games, Some, the sports they play, well, you don't know if they're going to have a game or not. Because if they win, they have a game. If they don't win, they have a game. And I found leading land retreats was really competing with my ability to do that. So I got into virtual retreats. And I realized that in order to do those, I had to really I couldn't just lead it because it wasn't about the physical space. It really became who I was. So to be master that, I realized, and this is what I teach now, you don't lead retreats, you model retreat. So if
Yay, I
you're
love
on
that.
retreat all of the time, when you bring people together, that's what you're sharing. So I had to make it part of my daily practice. So, studying with the Thai monk, on meditation, I had to just keep bringing in the yoga, the Tai Chi. And how am I going to bring that energy into every day? So when I'm on the phone leading a virtual retreat, it doesn't feel like a computer or a phone. I can still create that energy.
So you have to really be it, right?
You have to be it.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to be it.
And I mean, I think I see this becoming more and more um, as I tune into, teachers and yeah, master teachers, and
Mhm.
it's becoming more and more that authenticity piece. It's just not, it's not enough anymore that people like speak about it, and then on the, backside of the stage, they're like nasty to everybody else, right? Um, like that just doesn't work, and
Yeah.
that's sort of kind of the beautiful thing about social media and how we're all connected is like you can't hide. You just can't hide, and
You can't
even
hide.
and at the same time, like I think there's also this opportunity for us to look at one another with more compassion. Like we are just human
Yeah.
beings, right?
Yes.
And the more honest we can be about our humanity, I think the more that if we put ourselves up on a pedestal trying to speak down to people, then we do create this sense of like, ooh, someone's higher, right? There's this
Mhm.
hierarchy. But if we begin to have these conversations about, oh, we're in this together, and I just happen to know some things.
Yes. Yeah. I loved it when you, in the beginning, when you were talking. First of all, that pedestal, I'm always about the visual metaphor. Pedestal, just remember you can get knocked off of those.
Oh
Okay?
yeah.
So if you put yourself up there, there's also a chance. Nobody may even do it out of meanness, but the bigger the crowd gets, there's a chance of getting knocked off. So in that metaphor, it's like, don't even bother climbing up there. But in the beginning, when you were talking about collaboration, I imagine flowers, and so we're all planting different seeds. And when we come, when seeds get all planted in a garden, think about how beautiful it is when it looks like a wildflower garden. The
Mm.
flowers aren't competing. They're all enjoying the sun. Each may be a little different. And then we collaborate. And then what we've made is this beautiful wildflower garden. So I love that concept of just all do it together. And as you know, and those who may be listening, we're all about energy. And the more we bring together, right? There's the literal science of it and the metaphysics of it. It becomes stronger, right? When we do it together. And so I love that. You keep that's what you bring to us. I mean, just for total transparency, when you invited me to do this, I so appreciated. You weren't very linear, and you have to do this. We talked, it worked, we got a date, and then we showed up a little early, and I was like, okay, I love this. This is just so organic, and you're not worried, you're not competing, you're not asking questions. I loved it. Thank you.
Mm. And some people may be like, what does this have to do with retreating? But I think actually it has a lot to do with retreating, because there's something that happens when you're in community. There's
Yes.
something that happens when you're building the energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
This like what you speak of this yin energy of retreating.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do it together, it amplifies and supports the rebirth. And I want you to, if you would, talk a little bit about this concept of yin energy and why. Okay,
Mm.
why would we retreat? Most people go on vacation, they're like, that was great, and whatever. And I hear people say this all the time, I need a vacation from my vacation. You know, so I'm not sure that that's quite the yin energy. I mean, going
No.
on vacation is awesome. Like, it's awesome. It's great. Please do it. Please go explore the world. It's a beautiful place. You should see it. And I think we're also talking about something a little bit different. We're
Yes, we
talking
are.
about going deeper. And before, yeah, tell us, like, why go deeper? Why
Okay.
go into that yin energy?
I do, and I also just want to say so that folks know when I'm talking, and yin, by the way, one of the things about yin is it's not linear. So it sounded like maybe we weren't talking about retreat. And for me, there's different ways of being on retreat, and we're going to be talking about that retreat that really takes us deep. But in our daily practice, mindset, right? Whatever you are retreating from and then retreating to. So if I retreat away from this whole concept of competition, and I retreat to collaboration. Okay,
Mm.
so thank you. Just to make that link for you, that's one of the ways my mind is retreating. What am I retreating away from? What am I retreating to? So then we talk about the yin, okay, which is there's yin and there's yang. The yang, for those who may not know, is very much being in the head, creating. We talked about creativity. It's very much being in the head. It's very much about doing. Right.
Masculine energy.
Very masculine energy. And by the way, for those who may know it already, great. Let's affirm it. If for those who don't, this isn't about masculine gender. This is about masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the yin, more feminine energy. And that is, and in yin and yang in the Tao, the yin is the valley and the yang is the mountain. So the yin is that nice, quiet, dark space. Dark isn't scary. So going inside is where you connect with your body energy, connect with your ancient wisdom, connect with your breath, connect with your intuition, right? So we have creativity, which is the doing, but we often forget what is the source of it. So you hear people say, "Oh, I've got writer's block." Well, that's because you're still up here in your head. When you take a breath, slow down, let the stillness happen, connect with the source, because that's where your actual writer is. Then on the other hand, you hear artists say, "I channeled that." Yeah, because they went inside that yin, feminine essence, prana. So that's all of that is there. That's the source of whatever we're creating. Not just for artists, whatever we're creating.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I
that,
call it the womb of mother.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I really have, I don't talk so much about, shadow aspects. And I also know that there's this like really beautiful, enveloping energy when you go into the womb.
Mm.
One, and I'll just give a little anecdote on this sort of darkness, and I'll be giving an exercise that mirrors this. But
Right.
I was in Japan, and I went into this temple that was completely, they said it's the womb of mother. That's what it was called.
Mm.
And in the womb of mother, I was trying to ask, well, actually the people that I was with were trying to ask what was going on, and I was like, oh, no, 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 let's just do it. Let's just go in and like explore what this is. And they're like, what is it? What am I paying for? Like, what's going to happen? And the people there didn't want to say a lot.
Mm.
They were just like, just go in, just go in. So you walk in and you go down these like pretty steep stairs, and it's very, very, very dark. And all you have to guide you is this like railing that's in like the shape of a mala bead, like the prayer beads. So
Yes.
you have like these like circular things that you're holding on to, and you have no idea if you're going down, if you're going
Mm.
straight, if you're turning around. Like you have no, it's completely pitch black. And
Beautiful.
all I remember, of course, at first I was like scared, and then second, I just had this like. Um, transformation into fully trusting and
Mm.
like loving, trusting how I was walking, what I was exploring, and like people were pushing me because I was going too slow or whatever it was. I don't know what was happening. And then like all of a sudden, this was so cool because then all of a sudden there's this rock and it has the Sanskrit calligraphy of hara, which is
Mm.
like your dantian, like this
Mm-hmm.
area just below the belly. And I talk to my clients a lot about this because this is really our power center.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there's light shining on the Sanskrit word hara. And as soon as the light's shining on it, then you start seeing like how you can get out of the womb. Um,
Oh, wow.
so yeah, so what does that translate
Okay.
in real life when you
In real
go into
life.
that yin?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so many things came up for me as you were talking about that. Um, s- uh, the whole, kudos to you for allowing and surrendering, right? And the yin is if you look at a yin yang, that's the dark side. But the dark is what allows you to see the light, right? If you don't have the dark, and that's what yin yang is about, if you don't have, and they're not opposites, they're complements, but when you have them, the darkness allows you to really appreciate the light. But it's also, when you think about how often dark, sleep is dark, closing your eyes and imagination can be dark. There's so many things that happen in darkness when we retreat from the fear, which is what you did, right? And allowed and surrendered. I'm going to guess that you experience so much more. And that's what happens when we're in those dark spaces. You do slow down,
Mm,
move a little bit more slowly, feel your way, trust and surrender. And you don't run, right? You don't rush. That's where this more you get into the stillness when you're in darkness, the more you begin to appreciate. So look at all you remember about it, Asha. The railing felt like a mala. You're really clear. Whereas those who may have been pushing and rushing because they didn't slow down and appreciate the darkness and move with it, you don't have courage if you don't have fear.
mm,
So the whole idea is to move with it, through it, and enjoy some stillness to appreciate what's going on, rather than rushing down the steps, trying to get to the light, and not
mm,
enjoying it. Think about all that happened when you allowed to be that metaphor of inside those steps, inside yourself. You actually appreciated what was going on outside even more.
mm. Yeah, I wanted to do it again. And and the people that I was with were, I was like, how was that? How was that? And they're like, oh, it was all right.
Yeah, yeah. And because we don't slow down, as you said earlier, for me, retreat is not about going away to a place and escaping to a place. It's about finding that place inside, deep inside, where you can find peace amidst the noise. One of the other things that I do, which for me ends up to be somewhat spiritual, is scuba diving. But um, even if you only snorkel, you'll notice that when you stay on top, you're bouncing all over in the shallow part, you're bouncing with the waves. I mean, you may go places where it's perfectly still, but if there's waves, you're bouncing around. The second that you go under, okay, even in snorkeling, you can go far enough under, and in scuba diving, we go 15 feet and below. It actually gets quieter the deeper you go.
Mm,
So we're going into that cave. I also talk about diving. It's not staying up here on the surface in the so-called light, bouncing around. It's having the ability and the desire, the courage to allow and go deeper, because actually it's quieter, it's more powerful. It's usually where the bigger fish and the more beautiful things are if you're diving. That's when you find when you allow yourself to go into the darkness and the deep.
And so what do you notice for yourself and for your clients when they give themselves that space of really going deep, deep, deep within? Because, you know,
Mhm.
people are listening to this and they're like, well, this all sounds great, but
Yeah.
I have to pay the bills and I have to like, you know, be productive and you know all these great things and there's some people who totally get it, right? There's people
Hmm.
who are like they're like right with us. They're right on board. They like can't wait for whatever little tips and tools and exercise that we're gonna do to go dive deep. Um, but then there's those that are like, well, how does that help?
Yeah, how does that help? And first I want to say that there's an interesting, some people, it's scary. It is actually scary to stop and get to know yourself. You don't like it's like you don't want to look in the mirror all the time. It's scary. So, let's put it right out there that particularly in the beginning, to slow down and get real with yourself, it can be scary because you're not sure what you're going to find. That's your darkness, right? But it also can be very, very simple. I don't have time to go on retreat. I don't have 20 minutes a day. Sometimes it's a breath,
Mm,
one breath. And when you notice the difference, and this is what I do with my clients, and what we find is I say, slow down to speed up.
yeah.
Slow down to speed up your creativity. Slow down to speed up your work. Your best ideas don't usually come when you're crazy running around.
Never, never, never,
Okay?
never, never,
So
never,
we can
never.
tell ourselves that busy, that busy is doing it. We're in business. No, you're in busyness.
Yeah.
Okay? And so every once in a while, it may just be slowing down to notice. Sometimes it's just simply noticing my shoulders are up here and I'm just so crazed and busy and stressed. Ooh, just doing that. Feel how it opens you up. Feel how it takes the stress away. Okay, I mean, there's so many studies being done. If you can find it at Harvard, the blogs you can follow them. Psychology Today, Huffington Post, Third Metric. If you search, you will find. And you've talked to someone like Emmons, who does 21 days of gratitude. That's being still and being with gratitude. Meditation I mean, artists all over the world are following this. You have Phil Jackson, who's a basketball, who led the basketball team for years out on the West Coast. These people found that slowing down and some form of mindfulness, even if it's not the just getting present with at least one breath, coming here and now improves all of your productivity. So he had a team the team out in LA with Phil Jackson. His whole team was better. Why? Because they practiced this mindfulness. In the beginning, you think, I don't have time. I don't want to do this. How is it going to help? It's subtle. Kind of like homeopathy. You can take a medicine that'll help 10 minutes and read the back of the bottle that has all the side effects, right?
Yeah.
Or you can give yourself a day or 2 or 3 days to try a homeopathic or a naturopathic medicine. You will get better. You won't have the side effects. And the next time you go to take that homeopathic or naturopathic medicine, it clicks in faster because you've been practicing it.
Mm.
So in the beginning, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't seem like it works right away. Notice when you take that one breath. Notice when you actually realize your breath got caught and you let your shoulders down. Notice when you just look out a window, don't label anything, and just get out of the crazies. It's the little things that you do. Notice when you come back. Do you feel more creative? Do you feel more productive? Did you get more done? The little things, not the big things, are going to make the difference.
You know, I want to just speak to the it can be scary thing.
Hmm.
Um, there was my teacher, one of my teachers, one of my mentors, spoke about his Sufi singing teacher, and he would say that you know there's this master, right, who like has dedicated his life to this practice and you know these mantras, and he would say those words scare me. And his students would say, well, what do you mean? What do you mean they scare you? They're the words of the divine. What do you mean they scare you, right? And he would say, it's as if the divine is on the other side. And knowing that, it's the awe. So we may label it as scary because that's sort of the context of what we've learned. But if we can just kind of like slight shift, for those listening, like slight shift of like, it's not scary to get to know yourself, your like precious intuition and your precious like what's percolating underneath. It is actually an awe experience, right? Yes. It's an awesome experience. It's awe. That's really what you're feeling. Maybe it's less about scary like boogie monster, and it's more like awe of what's beneath the surface of my own surface.
I love that. And it reminds me that here's something else we can retreat from: judgment.
Yes.
If we're labeling it scary. And another thing that what we want to do is retreat from that yang masculine or the judgment. And not that masculine is judgmental, but I'm just saying we tend to go into our heads and think about it and analyze it. Or we judge it. What is scary? Okay, when we're in the yin and we're retreating into more of our yin feminine, that's about emotion. We have feelings. We want to accept them all. One of the words I use, one other thing I'll say before that is, your big ideas usually bring up fear. Your biggest and best ideas usually bring up fear. I call it scary fabulous, though. Is it really fear, like fight and flight? Take you back into my psychology degree. Is it fight and flight? Do you really have to be afraid of it? Can it really hurt you? Or is it new? And as we spoke about earlier, dark. It's the unknown. That's what's making us fearful. Okay, so it's all right. I don't know me yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to find out. Here's the thing. Just like we talked about little kids and darkness and scary, when you let your child think there's actually a monster under the bed or a monster under the in the closet, it gets bigger. What do you do when you want your children to not be afraid? Come on, let's go look under the bed. Come on, let's go look in the closet. You want to do that for yourself too. You may be afraid, but that's where you shed a little light, retreat from the fear, and also know in your body. So let's go back to that yin part. If it's a real fight and flight fear, flight fear, it's going to make you kind of want to do this.
Constrict.
And you're going to constrict. But if you're just a little scared, on the other hand, there's still a bit of an openness. That could be the scary fabulous. And that's
I love that. Scary fabulous. I'm writing that down.
And I go, okay, so I'm scared, but I'm leaning into the fabulous. Come on, fabulous, help me, support me. I'm retreating from the fear. I'm leaning into it. And the thing about mindfulness, when you do practice meditation and you go on retreat for a minute or longer, that's how you master the ability to do these things. Okay, so we bring it back to retreat. Mastery is not perfection, place reached. Mastery is being in practice so you can get to whatever it was you're trying to master more easily and quickly. So if you're going on retreat, if you're practicing mindfulness, so something scary happens, depending on your practice, 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths may be able to free you from that. Why? Because you've been on retreat. You've been training your body, training your mind. To what are you associating it? It could be a talisman. It could be a breath. Those things that help you. And it's best when you practice them when you're not in fear. So you can hold on to them, call them. So going on retreat and practicing these different ways of being in your confidence, in your strength, in your inner wisdom, in your trust. And when trust doesn't come from blind faith, it often comes from moving with fear with it. So lean into the fabulous if you get scared.
And what are like the most fabulous things that you have witnessed unfold when somebody has that scary fabulous, when they've gone
Ah,
into the yin, they've gone inside, and then this like fabulousness comes out that they create or they produce. What tell me something, really
okay.
cool.
And just so everybody relates, so it doesn't have to be big and wondrous, it can be something as simple as you don't have writer's block. And not that you're an author. I mean, it could be as simple as I couldn't think of a single thing to write about for my blog this week. Okay? So it's as simple as that. I started these things called Focus Fridays. And we opened up. So you come onto a virtual retreat. There's 3, 4 calls between, let's say, 11 and 5, and you reconnect every 90 minutes. So on the first call, I said, okay, this is called extreme focus and extreme self-care. And so I just made the first call about opening up space. We may do a little bit of it if we have time. Opening up space and opening up the heart space, breath. So we retreated with a guided meditation and breath. The next call, one of the women, we come out of the next call, and I say, oh, what showed up? How did it go? Blah, blah, blah. And one of the women said, I didn't think I'd be able to, she was writing out a plan for, she's going to be leading retreats. I didn't think I'd be able to think about a thing. Next thing I know, I'm onto my 4th page, and I had to stop and call. She opened up.
Aww.
Another was, when we talk about going inside or being on retreat, it's you want to take time in nature. If you're working all day on something, you want to stop. If you can't get outside because the weather's not appropriate, as I said, look out the window or take a 10-minute walk without labeling and judging. She said, wow, I was really busy and I had errands to run, so I wasn't able to really stay with my work all day. But when I came back home, I decided before I go in to work, I'm going to take a 10-minute walk. Wow, was I productive when I came back in. I wasn't as worried. I wasn't as stressful. I have clients who I've worked in, they're moving. They've just relocated to a whole new area. They're nervous. They've got renovations. It's like, okay, let's take a breath. Now I'm trying to start my business and I'm doing this and I'm doing, okay, let's take a breath and get centered. They get centered, they focus, and all of a sudden they're clear about, oh, that's the next step I'm going to take. And then they write me and tell me, oh, I was so much more productive and I got this done. I was so much more creative because I stopped, went inside. Often we'll take time to get in touch with your why or your passion. So you're not just getting still to do Om. You're getting still to get in touch with your source. When you get quiet, you remember more. And so these are the kind of things that they've told me. I remembered, I got in touch with, I enjoyed. Okay.
What about for you? What's been one of the most profound, it doesn't have to be big, but just
Mm-hmm.
profound for you, um, transformations that happen by going inward?
Well, the most recent was they were doing repairs on my apartment. Well, they were doing them on several floors, 6 floors. It was a building thing. Long story short, the plumber forgot to solder 2 pipes together. My apartment was flooded, 3
Whoops.
inches of water, the entire apartment, and I had just moved in. And I said, got quiet, and instead of going to judging, I got to curiosity. And I didn't get curious in terms of why did this happen to me. I'm like, so breathe with this. What am I to be learning about it? What is this showing me? And I stayed with the quiet. I didn't even look for the answers.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
part of the retreat, the quiet,
Yeah.
right? The stillness. Well, now, and it was funny because one of the guys when we were cleaning up said it to me, and I didn't hear it at the time, but I heard his voice again. So, you get a whole new floor. I thought, the next thing I know, I had moved in and there was all this stuff to do. Next thing I know, The insurance is showing up. It's working out. All of this stuff is happening. And once again, I got a chance to say, what will I keep that's really me? What will I let go of that's not? And instead of going to fear and scary and the work, because it was, what is this about? What is it teaching me? Well, it gave me a chance to practice. And when I didn't look for answers, they came. And all kinds of abundance, ironically enough, came after that. And one of my mentors said, the flood of abundance. Ah.
Mm, sweet. So why don't you lead us in one of the exercises,
Okay.
if that feels right to you?
Sure, it does. It does. Um, I'm going to share. Whoops. Got to turn that one off. Okay, so here we go. And
But you were going to show us also a little app that
let
you
me
use.
show
Yeah.
you. Okay, great. So this is my iPhone. It is also available on Android, and it's called the Insight Timer. So I'm going to use it for our little practice today. Let's see if you can see this.
Yep.
I'll send the information. It's called the Insight, INSIGHT timer. And the beauty of it is you can actually, I'm going to use it today for our meditation. It really is a meditation app. But one of the ways I like to work is, if you can see this, you can set the time. And there's a free version and a $2.99. It's a small price if you want to have every single. You can set the amount of time, like a
Mhm.
clock, how
Mhm.
long you're going to set it for. So what I do is I'll set it for an hour. And then it will start. And so the timer will start. Like I just pressed it.
Mhm.
And in those first 5 seconds, that sound will go off. And I love it because instead of just starting to work, I'll actually take a breath as if my work is going to be my meditation. So that's another way I practice retreat. So we're going to use it right now just to take you into a little breath. Um, in my retreats, when I lead them, I was telling Asha that I will actually close the space. So I do this when I'm leading retreats and I'm leading calls, so they're not just webinars, and I do it for myself. So at the end of the hour, this particular, you'll hear the singing bowl. It's a Tibetan singing bowls, and you have several to choose from. At the end of the hour, instead of a buzz on a clock, you hear that. Well, I don't just stop working, I take a breath again. And so it becomes that reminder. So now we're going to use that, and I'm going to start the space and end the space with the Tibetan bowl. And since this is about creativity and productivity, I'm going to just take people through a couple minutes of opening up the heart space so you can get into that place of creativity. So let's open that space. Let that bowl chase away and cleanse whatever you're doing. And wherever you are, you can begin to just surrender. I stopped inviting people to relax because I think inviting people to relax causes the mind to say, I can't. So just begin to breathe naturally. In and out. In and out. You want to close your eyes. Begin to let your body just get soft. Your shoulders, feeling them getting soft. Your upper back getting soft. Your middle back getting soft. Your lower back is softening. Your hips, man and woman, where that beautiful yin energy lives, your prana, your chi. Ooh, that grounding chakra. Your legs, your upper thighs, surrendering, getting soft. If you want, you can even touch with your hands as you continue to soften your body and really begin to get out of your head and into your body, just continuing to breathe in and out. Soften your knees, your shins, your ankles. If you're sitting in a chair, feeling your feet connect with the floor, the ground, the earth. If you're lying, sitting, wherever you are, just begin to surrender to the surface that you're sitting or lying on. Feel your body get heavy. And when you allow your body to get heavy on your chair, your floor, your couch, wherever you are, it's a great metaphor for surrender. Just let it get heavy and let that surface support you. No work. Let it be that thing that holds you, supports you. As you continue to breathe in and out, in and out. And then you may want to bring your hand to your heart. And as you continue to breathe in and out, feeling your heart, your chest rise as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, let any doubt or fears go out with it. Breathing in again, feeling that heart energy expanding. Breathing out any doubts or fears. One more time, breathe in, letting the heart energy fill you. Breathing out any doubt and fear. And then as you continue to breathe in, we're on this beautiful space together. Imagine the circle of us all together. Breathing in together. Connecting, supporting, sharing. Helping you to chase away any fears or doubts, negative self-talk. Supporting and lifting each other. We're in a circle. We're touching. We're gathering. And in the middle of that circle that we've created is all the power we need, all the light we need, all the creativity we need. Breathe it in, share it. Breathe it out, share it. Continue to breathe in and out. And then as you do this practice on your own, you may want to stop, even when you're finished with the practice. The next thing that you choose to do, let it be slower or intentional when you take this practice into your everyday. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one, we're about done. I'm feeling, and I wanted to offer an exercise that's very much in alignment with the stillness that you're feeling right now, the quiet that you're feeling right now. And even if you want to do this now and kind of go deeper, what I'm going to ask you to do, actually, yeah, I think we can do this now, is close your eyes and kind of follow, stay in that presence that you're in, that quiet. Close your eyes and cover your eyes, so to even make it even darker, right? If you close your eyes, you can probably still see light, but if you put your hands over your eyes, see how darker it is. And breathe in and out. And focus on the dark areas, the dark spots. Even though there may be lighter parts, there may be some flickering. See if you can tune into the darkness. And breathe in and out. And in your life, when you do this, you can spend a couple of minutes just going, retreating into the darkness, the womb. This is the representation of the womb in the visual sense. What I find is that people feel either enveloped by it, they feel the quiet, and yeah, of course, you come back refreshed. You come back like, oh, I'm a new person, or oh, yeah, that was, not just silence, but visually it was silence. Visually, you can really feel the essence of that womb. And so I invite you to do that in your life. Just a little quick thing, only 2 minutes. Maybe you get the insight timer and you set it for 2 minutes, and you just do that for 2 minutes and see what shifts. Very simple. So Karen, anything else that you want to add? I know that you also have a gift for people, so I want to make sure that we talk about that too.
Great, great. We have, and I'm thinking, and I think I may send you something additional. I have, it's the 10 guiding principles for wise women, and it's really just how to be in that space, that yin space, every day of your life. And I got it down to 10. It's simple. But I think what I will also send you, Asha, is a guided meditation. So so that you can send to your people. It's 10 guiding principles. Living into what I've done and getting into my creativity, I did it with my photos. So it's this beautiful 10 guiding principles. So if you go to the website, katiemcmillan.com, you can get it and download it. And in addition, I'll send you a meditation that can complement that. You can send that out.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, so if you're on my mailing list, as soon as I get it from Karen, it will be available. Thank you so much.
Yeah, send it to you. And I'd say to remember that one breath can take you on retreat. One simple, deep breath can take you on retreat from all the busyness. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be here.
Absolutely. So if somebody's listening to this and they want to either learn how to do what you do, or they want to kind of go deeper into, this retreat concept that you have, a virtual retreat, is your website the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yes, it is. And you go to the katiemcmillan.com. The guiding principles is up on the right. And then if you go to the bottom of the page, there are some other places that you can click if you want to learn how to lead retreats. Then there's a place to learn about that. And I also have this online place I call Retreat Muse Studio, where you can actually join it. Eventually it'll be a monthly membership. Right now it's a one-time. And that's where I put all my meditations, and I've invited Asha to be one of our Yin masters, the recordings. So when she does that with us, it'll be there. So everything can be found there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this concept of retreat, as I said, I'm a big fan. I think I know that it's really important. If you're listening to this and you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling like you don't know, feeling into too much fear that's constrictive, I just really invite you to either listen to this video again and go through the exercise that Karen had us do, or like I said, close your eyes, cover your eyes, make it really dark, get into a really dark closet. If you're a mommy and there's like nowhere for you to hide.
Reality
go
check.
into the closet, That's my go-to hiding place anyway.
I love it. But I love that you said you could get under a cover, you could cover it up, you could go into a closet. But I love that. And I just want to say that I know you work with people individually and you help them get there. And we both do that because sometimes you want to do it with a group of people, and other times you just need your own guidance And so that's another way. And I do all day retreats with groups and individuals. So I invite you to either you come to Asha or myself to, we're going to help you get your work done at a pace that energizes versus drains.
Yes, yes. That overwhelm energy, I find that to be the most depleting thing. And,
Mhm.
I'll just kind of speak to a little bit of what I see the benefits of this, what you call the yin energy, or, jumping into the womb of mother, as I call it.
Mhm.
Because I think that what happens is that, look, you look at in the beginning of my coaching, I was coaching a lot of photographers because my husband is a photographer, and you can see photographers who are super talented and some who are decent photographers, right? But then there were some that, even though they were they had a lot of business. There was a lot of energy kind of feeding their business,
Mhm.
right? So there's this, like, I don't get it. Like, you see these super talented people, and then these people who have, mediocre talent, but they have a lot of energy. So, and then, but what would be most amazing if the ones who really have a lot of talent can also have that energy that's fusing, like it's
Mhm.
infused into their business, into their creativity. Because what happens is that it's that energy that moves. It's that energy that really
Mhm.
magnetizes people to you. I mean,
Mhm.
who wants to be with the, like, okay, incredibly talented photographer, incredibly talented coach who's a drag to, like, get on the phone with? Right? I mean, who wants that? Even though you're like, no, this is the best of the best. It can be like the Oscar-winning coach or the Oscar-winning, whatever it is, like that level, but they're not fun to be with, or that you're not feeling like your energy is rising by being in communion with them. It,
Mhm.
then it just doesn't work. So if you're feeling like, okay, I have talent, and things aren't moving for me. They may just mean that there's some energy shifts that you're
Yes.
needing to go through, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
this retreating really allows for, like, all that, like, head stuff, all that, like, overwhelm, all that worry, all that fear, to begin to quiet down, to
Mhm.
begin to kind of look in and dive and see the fish of fear, to use your diving analogy. And and when you do that, boy, it just, like, bubbles up to
Mhm.
another surface. It's not even your own surface anymore.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
Beautiful. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's the alignment, right? It's not an either or, just like yin and yang. Yin and yang isn't a circle that's split in half. It's the like the fish following and leading, following and leading. So it's not a matter of I'm going to go on retreat or I'm going to get my work done. I think the beauty is we learn how to bring them together
yeah,
so that you
yeah,
can be in that
yeah,
space but still be productive. It's the alignment of the two. So when I do my virtual retreats, we don't spend the whole day going, oh, in guided meditation. We get into the space, we create the space, which is what artists do. And when I say artists, I don't just mean fine artists, whatever you're creating or leading. Then you do your work, and then you come back, get back in touch with your source, and then you do your work. And that's what you're doing. You're helping them align, right? We are both doing that. It's not either or. And I think that's really important to understand.
yeah. Although I will say that I am a big fan of retreats. I
Well,
do
no,
really,
yeah, but I'm just saying a working retreat. In other words,
yeah, yeah.
when you're doing in other words, you have separate retreats, which are definitely about getaway. I do that. I've done silent retreats. I've done retreats all day when we don't even talk during meals. Exactly,
It's
right?
awesome, isn't it?
And those are land retreats and they're absolutely necessary. But I'm saying that you also help people to understand a way of working.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and it's like, I love that you use that concept of, like, homeopathy, and, like, it's
Mm,
almost like you're sensitizing, or sensitizing the system, your own system, to be in this practice.
Yes.
Retreat, produce, retreat, create. And that it can be this like really, yeah, it's not just like, okay, retreating is just about separating from your life, but bringing that retreat element
Yes.
to life so that you can practice it. And the more you practice it, it can just become a part of your life, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, but we
so
want both. We actually definitely want both.
we
Gotta
need
get
both.
away and shut down and get away from it all.
Yeah, well, I am just so delighted that you shared your
Oh,
incredible
thank
wisdom with
you.
all of us. So thank you. And
Mm,
why don't
thank
we
you.
end why don't we end with your singing bowls and
Oh, okay.
yeah, why don't you do
Excellent.
that?
Excellent. And as I was telling Asha, whenever I do any kind of webinar, even if it's about light and goal setting, I always end it with the quiet, a couple breaths, um, and then the bowl. And I invite you, as I did before, don't just jump off and get busy. Take a few minutes, 3, 5, and whatever you do, move a little bit more slowly into the next thing that you do, so you're moving with awareness and intention.
Mm,
So, mhm. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us now live or later. We're still sharing your energy and appreciate you being here.
mm.
Mhm.